As it turns out, it was Robo-Justice. It also soon became clear that this same Robo-Justice had abducted Hifumi. We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko, and then went on to find Hifumi in the library. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect. But not long after leaving the nurse's office...
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor. And soon after,
I saw someone moving around on the third floor.
and then... At that point, we Celeste, Hina, and while Sakura... When we got back to the... And that's... I left Celeste and Hina...
Meanwhile, we must have found... Because we heard the same...
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi. Then the three of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics, we ran into Celeste. We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room. But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body. Next thing we knew, we were searching, and after some time...
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to which is where we rediscovered.
I think that...
I see. It certainly seems to me that these are not...
Okay, well...
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder, and from there, we can uncover the contradictions. Now then, let's get started. So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the...
It's true that he foomed while Taka's death.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after. So, I wonder if he... Or perhaps it was after. We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the justice...
No, it's wrong! Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same... If anything, that...
So you're saying the culprit wanted, but in reality... Okay then.
Now I understand! I've got it! Taka's wristwatch! See? Look! It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer.
And that would be his...
But if that's true...
And before Celeste...
That's right. Taka was killed.
That's simple. We made the.
That's exactly why that way, when we saw.
Now, because when he was
That may be true, but all of our alibis.
That's right. When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
That's totally true. We're all in.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later.
If that's true,
I don't know.
don't just go making
Anyway, we all have rock solid alibi since all of us were there together.
And it does not stop there. When his body Hina and I were in the back, and then there's at that time.
Well, don't forget, I was passed out.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka.
Even if she could pull that off, because, as we just established.
Besides, I didn't do either of.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared. So,
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it. So instead of who,
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't. And according to what Celeste. His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took it. But to carry that much weight from the.
Oh man, yeah!
well, what if I told you there was a way to make the
What?
if the dead body were to
The dead body?
No!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. We thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps.
He was.
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office?
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply.
that it
Are you saying that when we first found
Hifumi
in the
there's a
chance he was actually.
No. Hifumi was dead. And you know that. Surely
you heard the body discovery. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
And that is. Are we really?
maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first there's a chance?
Chance he was at.
No. Hifumi was dead. And you know that. Surely
You heard the body discovered. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No, that's wrong. Was the body discovery announcement that was made really?
Of course it was.
Maybe. But that was.
That's right.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake. I think we've confused whether.
First of all, if two.
Maybe
What do you say, Monica?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, but what I can say about the body discovery, it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy.
No, actually, that was plenty. He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time. Even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again?
Huh? Later on.
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement. I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository when we rediscovered the 2 bodies. It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma.
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't.
Then in reality, when the 2 dead bodies were rediscovered, one being discovered for the first time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't meaning he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him
And that's just part of. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive.
Oh, I know, because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada bing!
that is the worst logic I have ever. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
Okay then, Let's take another look at the events surrounding the then it should become clear whether he was.
This whole thing is pointless.
Well, here's one thing the first time we found him, and then his body disappeared.
And the next time it was in the.
But when you compare his body before being other than
The change in
how there was no
notable.
No, that's wrong. In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi and his glass. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the.
Perhaps you'd like to feel the rest.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, but when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless. And I found the item he used. I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glass, and the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera. And whose digital camera was it?
The character was Princess Piggles.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi.
I see your point. And the only people.
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage.
A few tissues is all I.
Then there's no question. What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses.
Even if that is true.
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses?
That's a good.
Then it must have.
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive and the nurses. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean, then he stands up and walks out on it. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes.
But then, if he was just what was with all that blood? Was it pain?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out. So he just dumped it everywhere. But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off.
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is it should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository.
The door was locked?
Well, after the bodies disappeared, so me and Sakura headed for the but when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside, which means when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murder.
I just can't.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away. That's right. We found it.
What? Pants?
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told. Huh? Wait. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's.
I see. Then this note.
It's not the.
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person, and that person could only have been. I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had... So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok. They were drawing out...
Just to be clear.
Ugh! Yes! Happy had the note, right?
Then the person it was must have been Happy! But remember what the notes... What time did it say? 6 a.m.
The time doesn't matter. The note has nothing to do with TikTok.
Shoot!
Happy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for...
Must have been Happy! But remember what time did it say? 6 a.m.
The time doesn't matter. The note has nothing to do with...
No, that's wrong. No, there absolutely is a
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using... But there's more. Look where the equipment room...
Which is where Taka was.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time... I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely...
Well, no further objections.
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster.
But if they gave the note to Taka... What was it?
Stuffed down his pants, no less.
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he...
Where's your proof? Go.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found.
Then Taka's scrap...
Yup, they're from the same...
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small... There's only one way.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death, leaving behind only what? Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa, yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for In fact, he was behind the whole thing! In fact...
Sorry. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely the second body discovery announcement proved.
So then... Who killed...
Whoever did is the mastermind. The true...
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting...
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished. But before we found both...
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait! But me and Sakura were to...
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid...
Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been
And what might that?
The weapon they used to kill him.
The weapon?
Yeah. Because, I mean, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was... But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurses'... So if Hifumi was killed the culprit would have had to grab one of the then put the hammer back where they... But wouldn't that be serious?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that's...
Hell yeah! It's packed in there good!
He's right, though. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using... But if the hammers were already laying around...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on each? Personally, I haven't...
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one...
Is it not possible they used it?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing.
So then, what was you... What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3?
Maybe Justice.
Well, there's one. How was the culprit able?
How did nobody
Weakness.
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make. Check out murdergear.com.
Well, what the murder weapon?
Weapon had to be one of the. And. That's about it.
What was used? Was it Justice? Maybe Justice.
Well, there's one. How was the culprit? How did nobody?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer. Check out murdergear.com.
Well, what the murder weapon?
Weapon had to be one of the Justice. And.
That's about it.
What was used? Was it Justice? Maybe Justice.
Well, there's one. How was the culprit? How did nobody?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is. Check out murdergear.com/hammer.
Well,
One thing seems pretty.
the murder weapon had to be one of the.
No, it's wrong. The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer,
But.
specifically a hammer from the repository. Now, all the hammers in the but for some reason, one of them had been and the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was if the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of I'd also like to point out that the repository has and even some flat mallet-like. I think whoever made the justice hammers used those.
If that's true, that would explain.
Whoever did that is the true killer. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume the way the graduation rule. So the idea that anyone.
Based on the rule, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried. Assuming the rule holds true, it is.
That is.
But that only really
In this case, however, there were 2 murders.
based on the rules that have even if more than one, only the one who actually
Carried out the. Assuming the rule.
No, it's wrong. Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been 1 murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't real. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward.
Risk versus reward.
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then
You're saying that 2 people could act as each other's accomplices to commit 2 separate.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing. Instead, each person killed someone, creating 2, and it only looked like one person because that's how the true. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, by creating one seamless set of circumstances.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him and then to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply, which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful.
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's string?
That's problem numero uno.
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate.
A joke?
So what you are saying then is that I specifically the idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time in that I would go within 10 feet of that
Shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot!
Just to be clear, there is.
is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further...
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were—
Shush, the adults are talking. As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costume. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but—
Are you saying everything they told us was—
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this and not too long after that, we headed to the second floor specifically because of what's next to draw us all to the physics lab up.
She let out a blood-curdling
And when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what? Once she'd done her, it was time for...
It was to get us to divide into—
In fact, Celeste... Well, if Celeste... And on top... That was to signal it was your... Why...
I just realized when we found— Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been— You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt.
I don't believe it!
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared.
Yeah? I was feeling kinda sick, so— Wait!
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture... Wouldn't you agree?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one.
Oh,
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said... Looking back, I can say that one little slip... I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and...
I remember her saying that too.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been once we were in the hall. Now, think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any...
all I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die. And that is all.
And that's all it takes. What was so
strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us.
They must be
positive. We are all going to die. We are going to die.
just like...
No, that's wrong! That's right. There's no reason, so when she said that, none of us had told her.
Exactly. And so there was never any...
So how did you know? How did you know more than one person? Because Kyoko had...
You all have...
Imagination.
You claim that I was lying. Then what about the... How do you explain this picture of the...
It has to be some kind... So let's put the suit on. And then...
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera... In other words, it is an unassailable fact.
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi?
What could you put...
Surely there are other explanations than the one...
No, there is...
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect.
That's certainly within the realm of... The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the... We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us... If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation...
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy!
Is utterly Hifumi was dragging him away?
Is it? I don't think...
Then shut your mouth and allow...
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight!
You tried to make me look
Like I said, as you can see in the picture,
If the person inside the suit, there's no way they could stand...
No, that's wrong! No, even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, because that Robo-Justice suit had a...
that's right! They totally made a mistake.
I'm not so I think the suit was designed from the beginning to...
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the...
Well then, I suppose...
Checkmate? Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate? Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little... Have you already forgotten what he...
When we asked him who had attacked, he said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro...
Wait! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually...
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only...
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really
What the hell are you talking about?
Kyoko, what do you mean by...
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental, by chance.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. No. There's no reason to think he would have...
So Hifumi was trying to tell us...
But the name he said doesn't...
Well, no. And that's Celeste. She never actually...
To think you'd take your false... Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather. Yasuhiro is a Well? Do what?
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Fine. Make sure my real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat my...
Hifumi was trying to tell us something.
He wanted
Us to know the
killer's last... If there's one person he...
It would have to be you.
Celeste.
How many times do I have to tell you?
Celestia Ludenberg, God!
How long do you plan to go on
I'm not pretending. And since you have no way...
No, that's wrong! That's it! The handbook!
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, It shows the owner's name when Monokuma told us all about. So all we have to do is check her handbook. That's how we can find out Celeste.
That's an invasion of.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what real. Please.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature because until the game's over, you never know what.
Fine then. Let me go over the case again. And that'll bring. Here's exactly what happened. Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible... First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room. That someone they met with, the murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the robo. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the. They did all this just when they were done with him. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the... The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion. So, next they falsified 2 more assaulted. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims. To solidify, the first fake incident was the attack in there. The killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer. They wanted to make sure we bought. The second fake incident was this time, they planted Justice Hammer 2. And with these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create that the suspect we fell right into their trap. While we did that, we left Hifumi alone. This was exactly what Hifumi... He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and turned the room into a crime scene, in which he himself had apparently... He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned... Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of this. He simply got up, and when we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the and once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the That should cover everything that happened in this case. Celeste!
I love. When was the last time I was forced? They hang heavy.
Then you admit it?
Listen to you, trying to Celestia. Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
Taiko?
So, you finally...
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Okay, Monokuma. Or, I suppose this is the end.
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time, if you would, please locate your lever and when the votes are tallied, will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong?
Honestly.
I knew it. So then...
Indeed.
Say what?
Just a second. In other words...
Indeed.
I see.
Actually...
What?
Are you okay with this? So then...
Damnation! Say what?
As for me...
Oh.
As for me...
What? Damnation! Say what? Completely unforgivable.
Most unfortunate. Actually...
What?
Indeed. Honestly. Actually.
Hmm?
I see.
Indeed.
But
Let's see.
Well,
Are you okay? Hmm.
so in the end,
What the heck?
Well,
don't be mean!
I wonder about that.
Why?
What the heck?
Hmm.
But
You little... Hey! You little bitch!
This is fine. Honestly. As for me, isn't it wonderful? This is fine. There is nothing to be done.
Just the worst.
Oh! Do you understand?
What is this?
Yes, indeed. Isn't it wonderful?
hey,
Thrills, chills, kills! Now then, I've prepared a very Let's give it everything we've...
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this.
What?
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? Which is what... Actually... Well then, perhaps we'll meet again. In an...
What are you gonna do?
Let me out of here!
Too bad. How strange. Hey! Hey! Wah-wah?
So then, you.
Ooh.
Hey,
Ooh, how exciting! Hello. Well? See ya!
so.
Hey,
Indeed. Hey,
What?
so.
Come on. What? Goodbye.
well then.
Yo!
Okay.
Shall we go? So then, you.